Greetings, philosophers. We're back for the third part of our 10-part series on the philosophy of Fyodor Dostoevsky, a writer who doesn't just tell stories but cracks open the human soul. Today we're tackling a theme that runs like a current through his work, the clash between faith and nihilism. It's a battle between finding meaning in a universe that seems to care and one that feels like a cold, empty void. We'll focus on two of his heaviest hitters, the brothers Karamazov and Demons, to explore how Dostoevsky wrestles with this. So grab a cozy spot and let's dive into this profound tug-of-war. Dostoevsky lived in a time when big ideas were shaking the world. Science was booming, old traditions were crumbling, and people were starting to wonder, do we need God to make sense of life? This wasn't just a Russian thing. It's a question we're still asking today. When you scroll your news feed and see chaos, from wars to tweets full of despair, it's easy to feel like nothing matters. That's nihilism. The idea that life has no inherent meaning, no purpose, no anchor. Dostoevsky saw this coming, and he was terrified of it. Not because he was some preachy moralist, but because he knew how seductive and destructive that emptiness could be. Let's start with the brothers Karamazov, where this clash plays out like a family drama with cosmic stakes. You've got Ivan Karamazov, the brainy skeptic we met last episode, who's basically the poster child for nihilism. He looks at the world full of suffering, injustice, and cruelty, and says, if this is all there is, I'm out. He doesn't just doubt God, he doubts meaning itself. There's this chilling moment where he says that without God, everything is permitted. Think about that. If there's no higher purpose, no moral compass, what stops us from doing whatever we want, no matter how dark? Ivan's not celebrating this, he's horrified by it. His mind's trapped in a loop, brilliant but lost, because he can't find anything solid to hold on to. Now contrast that with Alyosha, his younger brother, the monk in training who's all heart. Alyosha's not naive. He sees the same ugly world Ivan does, but he chooses faith, not a blind, follow-the-rules kind of faith, but something alive, rooted in love and action. There's a scene where Alyosha listens to Ivan's despair, and instead of arguing, he just stays present, offering quiet compassion. Dostoevsky's saying faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about choosing to believe in something bigger, even when the world screams that it's pointless. Alyosha's faith is practical. He helps people, comforts them, lives for them. It's not a theory, it's a way of being. Then there's Father Zosima, Alyosha's mentor, who takes this further. Zosima's faith is almost mystical. He sees the world as interconnected, alive with divine possibility. He talks about loving all creation, from the birds to the stars, and believing that every act of kindness ripples outward. It's beautiful, but it's not easy. Zosima's faith demands courage, because it means facing a world full of pain and still saying, this is worth it. Dostoevsky, who was a Christian himself, isn't pushing dogma here. He's showing faith as a choice, a leap you make when logic alone isn't enough. Now let's shift to Demons, a darker, more chaotic novel, where nihilism isn't just a personal crisis, it's a social disaster. The story's set in a Russian town, where a group of radicals, led by figures like Stavrogin and Pyotr Verkhovensky, embrace nihilism as a kind of twisted gospel. They reject God, morality, tradition, everything, believing it'll free them to remake the world. But Dostoevsky shows where this leads: violence, betrayal, murder. Stavrogin, this charismatic but hollow figure, is like a walking void. He's brilliant, magnetic, but he believes in nothing, and it destroys him and everyone around him. Pyotr, meanwhile, uses nihilism to justify power and chaos, manipulating others into atrocities. Dostoevsky's message is stark. Nihilism doesn't just empty your soul, it can burn the world down. What's wild is how prescient this feels. Today we see nihilism everywhere, not always as dramatic as in Demons, but in the cynicism that creeps into our lives. Think about the memes that joke about life being meaningless, or the way we sometimes shrug off big problems because nothing matters anyway. Dostoevsky would recognize that instantly. He'd warn us that nihilism is a trap. It feels liberating at first, like you're free from all the rules, but it leaves you with nothing to stand on. No wonder people get lost in it. But Dostoevsky doesn't just scare us with the dangers of nihilism. He offers a way out. Back in The Brothers Karamazov, Alyosha and Zosima show that faith can be an antidote, not because it's a fairy tale, but because it's a choice to create meaning. Faith, for Dostoevsky, isn't about ignoring the void. It's about staring into it and saying, I'm going to build something anyway. It's not always religious faith either. It's about believing in love, connection, or even just the possibility of good, despite everything. Dostoevsky himself found this kind of faith after years of suffering in prison, where he saw humanity at its worst, but also its best. People sharing their last crust of bread, finding hope in despair. This clash between faith and nihilism hits home because we all face it. Maybe you've had a moment where life felt pointless, like nothing you do matters. Or maybe you felt a spark of something bigger, a connection, a purpose that pulled you through. Dostoevsky's saying that's the human struggle. We're caught between the void and the light, and we get to choose where we lean. Nihilism's easy. It's just letting go, drifting. Faith is harder. It's an act of defiance, a refusal to give up, and he shows both sides so vividly, you can't help but feel the stakes. Let's make it real for a second. Think about your own life. When have you felt that pull toward nothingness, that why bother moment, and what brought you back? Was it a person, a belief, a small act of kindness? Dostoevsky would say that's where the real fight happens. Not in big philosophical debates, but in the quiet choices you make every day. Do you choose to care, to connect, to keep going? That's faith in all its messy human glory. As we wrap up, Dostoevsky leaves us with a challenge, to face the void and choose meaning anyway. It's not about pretending the world's perfect, it's about building something worth living for, even when it's hard. Next time, we'll dive into another piece of his philosophy, the psychology of guilt and redemption, where he shows how our worst mistakes can lead to our greatest growth. It's going to be a wild ride. So stick with us. Thanks for joining me today. Until next time, keep questioning, keep choosing, and keep believing in something. See you soon.